Equality Court has this morning ruled in favor of the EFF that the singing of the anti-apartheid song Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer is not hate speech. Let's talk about this with sociologist Dr. Trevor Ngwane. Dr. Ngwane, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to the program. So how significant is this judgment in the context of South Africa's liberation struggle and what these songs have meant?
Yeah, thank you, Tembegile, for having me. Yeah, it's very, very significant. You know, yesterday I was in the march in Pretoria. The workers were marching, and they were singing old struggle songs. And I noticed that, you know, they keep on changing the lyrics, the words, to suit current conditions. So it gave me the idea that we really have to contextualize the idea of freedom of speech and understand exactly what is hate speech and what is not hate speech in South Africa.
And expand on that. How should we make that shift?
Well, I think firstly, it's not a good place to have these conversations about anti-racism and overcoming the prejudices of the past in courts. So we need a kind of national conversation around anti-racism rather than approaching it in an adversarial fashion in courts. Secondly, we have to contextualize it because remember, many of these songs arose during apartheid, what I can call racial capitalism, you know, where there was racialization of poverty, inequality, unemployment. Unfortunately, the same conditions, obtain. There are continuities of past racial, class, and gender oppressions and exploitation. So we have to be sensitive to this rather than dismiss it and pretend that we are living, you know, in the rainbow nation, which Nelson Mandela and Archbishop Tutu aspired to.
And with that in mind, to what extent, in fact, would you say the meaning of the lyrics has now changed? You were just saying yesterday you had a demonstration where some of the lyrics had been changed somewhat. Have the songs in their entirety changed in meaning?
Yes, they change insofar as people are addressing what they think are current conditions. But of course, the songs survive not only because of historical memory, but as I said, because there are continuities of past oppressions and exploitations. And really, these are the issues which must be addressed. I suspect that, you know, the AfriForum, because it is almost a self-appointed representative of the Afrikaner community, it is fighting the privilege struggle, class struggle, you know, by other means. It's actually, trying to push back any attempt to remove past privileges, past racial-based privileges. But I don't think that is the way it should go about it. In any case, those privileges were acquired through racism. So, you know, the country must move forward. We need an emancipatory approach rather than people defending what they gained, you know, through means which are not acceptable to them.
Am I right to say that from what you're saying, what you're basically telling us is that there's potential here for a teaching moment, even as far as nation building itself?
Exactly. And I don't think that AfriForum's populism, it's a racist type of populism where there is a kind of racial profiling of the EFF as some kind of, vengeful, revenge-seeking representative of black racism. So I think really this is a moment of learning, a moment of sharing. That's why I think a national conversation centered around anti-racism rather than, you know, the fiction of a rainbow nation which does not yet exist.
Do you think there'll ever come a time in South Africa where it would be deemed inappropriate to sing certain liberation songs or anti-apartheid chants of the time, of the 50s, 60s, 70s, and even 80s?
Yeah, I think the time will come, you know, because as I said, what I found with the singing by the workers, the marchers yesterday, is that they adapt the song to current conditions. So obviously the people understand that, you know, things must change we have to adjust, we have to adapt. But you cannot just invoke, some past privilege to stop what I can call freedom of speech. These songs, they are dynamic, they change. I noticed, for example, people were singing Jacob Zuma's famous Mshini Wami, but now they were not saying Mshini Wami. They were saying Mali Yami, Leti Mali Yami. So you can see that there is a dynamism. So indeed, there will come a time when we'll frown upon certain songs and say, this doesn't make sense anymore.
And do you imagine that will be a people-led process or something that'll have to be more, shall we say, top-level, spearheaded?
I think the leadership has a role to play. But, the best leader is one, who keeps his or her ear on the ground and allows the people to lead. But I think in this instance, AfriForum was certainly wrong to actually assume that role and actually pull the so-called African community into a lager where they stick to what they have, they stick to their racist ideas rather than the willingness to move forward.
Dr. Trevangwane, good to have your time, so thank you.